Brooklyn Nets have acquired Houston's James Harden in a blockbuster deal. Key's laughing because he thought this was coming. Let me just give a few more details. This is a major haul for Houston. It's a three-way deal with Cleveland. Karis LeVert is involved in this. We're going to get more information as we can. I wanted to give you this news, though, and it was a request that James Harden wanted. He wanted to get out of Houston, so now Brooklyn able to get him there. James Harden wanted to be reunited with Kevin Durant. You can also check out Adrian Wojnarowski's Twitter, of course. Woj bombs flying all over the place. And then now the Nets get another all-NBA player in his prime, getting Harden, KD together, and Kyrie Irving, depending on what happens there. But just your initial reaction, Key.
Well, last night was the first time that we heard James Harden officially say, I've done enough in Houston. I've given you everything. It's time for me to move. There's been somewhat speculation and cryptic tweets and Instagrams and things of that nature in his behavior. So, as I've always said, Dan, in professional sports, when an athlete says...
Yeah, you said this before the show.
When an athlete says, I want out, you moving. Because you're going to devalue as he stays there and you try to force him to play, that value goes like this. And they got smart. Raphael Stone, the general manager, he got smart and was able to say, you know what, it's time to move. It's time to move him.
I want you to educate us a little bit. My only hope is that during the jump, when the jump is happening over the next week or two, that Shefty drops the bomb that Deshaun Watson also has been traded from Houston. Sorry, City of Houston.
Yeah.
But that's just my hope for Deshaun Watson. I said to you when this happened, like, man, is James Harden a head case or something like that? Because what's going on this year? And you tell me what
everything is calculated, right? I mean, it's all calculated. It's the same situation that Kyle McNair and Jack Easterby decision to not talk to Deshaun. Their decision in Houston was not to consult Russell Westbrook as well as Harden on the general manager move or the head coach. They just ignored the situation. And then at that point, it was like, you know what? Think about this for a minute. He turned down 2 years, $100 million of guaranteed money to get out.
Right.
So does that sound like a guy that wants to be in Houston?
It does not.
Once again, you see the breaking news here right now on ESPN. According to Adrian Wojnarowski and Ramona Shelburne, the Nets acquiring James Harden from the Rockets. This is interesting, guys. According to Ramona Shelburne and Woj, Brooklyn sends 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2022, 2024, and 2026 in the deal, plus pick swaps in 21, 23, 25, and 27. The Rockets get Cleveland's 2022 first-round pick via the Bucks. Just a huge haul either way.
They could have it.
Right.
Look, Houston valued that asset. They held on to it as long as they could. And they got something out of it. They're getting some future picks. Now, wherever those picks land, who knows what they could turn out to be.
So, I have a question, though, because you just said 2 minutes ago that when a superstar makes it very clear that I want out, you have no other choice but to move him. Before the show, we were talking about the Deshaun Watson situation. You said they're not going to move him. They can't. How is that different?
Because he hasn't said he wants out. Remember, everything, he hasn't said it publicly.
Okay, you're saying Harden made it very clear last night.
Oh, that's right. He said, man, I've done everything.
Guys, let me add this too. This is happening as we're sitting here right now. Woj also tweeting the Rockets expanding the deal to send Karis LeVert to the Pacers for Victor Oladipo. Yeah. So that's another addition.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's what you got to look at in this situation is James Harden made a decision last night to come public, and once it became public, Dan, it's time to go.
I got you.
If in fact Deshaun Watson makes a decision, just think about it. All the guys in the NFL that you've known that said, I want to get out of here. Jalen Ramsey, they moved him to the Rams from Jacksonville. Yeah. The big tackle that was in Washington that was moved to San Francisco. Trent Williams. He said, I don't want to play for these dudes. They eventually move you. I mean, that's just, you can't hold on to a bad asset.
All right, as we continue to talk about this, let's bring in Marcus Spears for his reaction.
I mean, it was inevitable. James Harden unhappy that Mike D'Antoni and Daryl Morey was gone. They didn't talk about that with him. Obviously, I feel bad for Silas, the coach, Silas Jr., Paul Silas Jr. that came in. They very excited about him. But you think about James Harden and Kevin Durant, along with Kyrie, hopefully, if Kyrie decides he wants to come back and play basketball, it's a reincarnation of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was Westbrook, KD, and obviously James Harden. So now you have your big three, and the haul that you get for him. Look, the NBA now is about leveraging for superstars. It's not about the future. It ain't about how many draft picks you can have. It's not like football where usually in the NBA you don't hit on late round draft picks. You know the guys that's going to immediately be good, and it's going to take a while for development for guys later. If you telling me I can put James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, with the caveat, if he's going to have his mind right and come back and play basketball, that obviously catapults the Brooklyn Nets into being a championship team. They should be the best team in the East now. So look, it's an exciting time for James Harden. It should be an exciting time for the Houston Rockets. When you look at everything that's transpired over this time, it was Chris Paul. James Harden couldn't play with him. He wanted Russell Westbrook, couldn't play for him. Was in Houston. Houston laid everything at the feet of James Harden, was like, what can we do for you? Tillman Fertitta, the owner, was on First Take with us about a year ago talking about how bad he wanted to win a championship, and that the centerpiece was going to be James Harden. How things change, how the mighty fall. So, look, the Houston Rockets are better off for it. Obviously, James Harden is in the position he wants to be. It was between Brooklyn and Philadelphia. Now you got your big three in Brooklyn. There is no reason for the Brooklyn Nets not to be in the conversation to win an NBA championship and be the kings of the East. So everybody wants their hands. Everybody should be happy.
Listen to Marcus doing his big perk impersonation.
There we
He
go.
forgot about that team out west talking about a championship. You better keep it to the East.
Don't say that in front of Key. All
Man,
right,
I'm
anyway.
talking about the East, man.
Make
Guys,
it clear then, buddy.
More on the NBA a little bit later. We're going to get back to the NFL here on NFL.